Nara. Nara means hello in Kabi. I've been very happy and very proud that finally I can start saying hello in my language. My journey with language really started a couple of years ago when I went to New Delhi in India, where 300 people from 100 different countries around the world were sitting in a room and everybody could speak their language very fluently and very easily. And our facilitator of that cultural identity workshop was Spanish, and she spoke everything in Spanish, so she had an interpreter. What she asked every individual in that group to do was to introduce themselves in their mother's tongue, in their language. There was about 14 in that group. 5 out of that group were Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people. Every time it got to an Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander young person, we all had to say the same thing. I'm sorry, but we don't know how to speak our language. Now, to me, that really broke my heart. It hurt me because it made me realise, by sitting around all of the people who could speak their mother's tongue so fluently, so strongly, made me realise how important it was for me to start learning that. So when I came back, being a friend of Jodie and Gage, and knowing the resource that they have of sharing culture, we started on a journey. This is about 2 years ago. Over the last nearly 2 years, I've been working with Auntie Jeannie Bell, who worked with other elders in writing the Gubbi Dictionary, Gubbi and Butchulla Dictionary. I've also been working with Margaret Flurry, who is with Reynolds from Melbourne, and she's been equipping me with resources and tools on how I can listen to old audio files and record those. I've been looking at old documents going back from the 1890s up until the 2010s, and documents that are still alive and being developed today. So I haven't just been learning from one book, I've been learning from many different resources. I've been listening to old people, just as my grandmother used to teach me, my elders have taught me, and I've been working in collaboration with a lot of community. I'm from the Sunshine Coast, that's where I live, and there's actually a lot of people who are Kabi or Gubbi people who really want to learn their language. I also have been working in the education department. This being a cultural literacy program, these are students who are struggling with writing and reading, and obviously haven't really engaged in Indigenous culture because it's not taught. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures are not taught inside school, so they don't really know too much about it. I can tell you over these 10 weeks, the growth of these students, their understanding of protocols, understanding about custodianship, remembering that before this school was here, there were actually Aboriginal people that lived here for thousands and thousands of years. Who are those people? We need to look beyond what is presented to us today. They really enjoyed it. They wanted more. They want more and more. And one of the students, who's actually my niece, she's an Aboriginal girl. The teacher who usually takes their literacy support program said that that student had never picked up a pen and written on paper as much as she did in that classroom. Now, to me, that was a huge success, even though I thought she wasn't doing too much. I was like, come on, you've got to be doing more. But so the teacher saw that growth in her, and it was an amazing outcome in one of those students. I have, at the end of it, I asked the students to write out a feedback, tell me the feedback. What did they learn and what more did they want to learn? So as you can see, these people are, they don't have strong literacy skills, so they don't know how to write very well, so some of it might not make sense. On the left you have what they learned. So they learnt about Aboriginal language groups. They learnt, the small population of Australia that are Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. They also learnt, as you can see, they learnt about respect. They learnt about protocols, and they learnt about the difference between ownership and custodianship. To me, that was massive. But over here, what they wanted to learn, this is a young Aboriginal man who has major behavioural problems in school, either always getting suspended, doesn't want to go to class, doesn't want to listen to normal teachers, so they, try to send them to me on how I can help them. But right down here at the bottom, you can see, I want to learn the language. These young people want to learn the language. And with sharing culture and the resource, the online tools, the kits, we have the ability now to actually allow these young people to learn what they want to learn. Sometimes I think that there are people in community or outside of community who feel that we don't want to learn and that we have no right to learn what we want or what belongs to us. And I can tell you right now, we really want to learn it and we're ready to learn it. Not only Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students, but non-Indigenous people. The schools are crying out for it. The schools are like, we want to get it in there. It's coming out in the national curriculum. It's coming out in local syllabus. You know, so how can we make it happen? And I'm really proud of, you know, my journey with working with Auntie Jeannie, Belle and Margaret. They've taught me a lot. They've equipped me with a lot of resources that I can continue over the years to develop on my knowledge and my skills on linguistics, on history, because you know, another 7-letter word for language is culture. You can't separate the two. So the more you look into language, the more you're learning about culture, the more you're learning about places. One of the biggest things that I've realised is that people generalise with a language group, but within that language group, there's actually so many different dialects and clan groups, and we need to remember that and acknowledge that a language group is a generalisation of a people, of many, many people. So that's my journey with it, and thank you.